Hey there, it's Sophie. Welcome back to English Zone. So, picture this. I'm traveling alone in a new country. My suitcase is waiting in the hotel, my stomach is growling, and I've decided to do something brave. Eat at a restaurant by myself. It's evening, the city lights are glowing, the air smells like garlic and grilled bread, and I can hear soft music from somewhere nearby. I stop in front of a little restaurant. Not too fancy, not too quiet, just perfect. I stand there for a few seconds, watching people inside laughing, talking, enjoying their food. A tiny voice in my head says, maybe just buy a sandwich and go back to the hotel. But then another voice, the louder, braver one, says, no, go in, live your English. So I take a deep breath, push open the door, and walk in. A warm smell of food wraps around me. Someone at the front smiles and says, good evening. Do you have a reservation? I shake my head gently. No. Table for one, please. And just like that, I'm done it. My first English sentence of the night. Short, simple, and real. The host smiles, picks up a menu, and says, right this way. I follow to a small table by the window. The lights are soft, the music gentle. I sit down, exhale, and smile to myself. Traveling alone used to scare me, but moments like this remind me why I love it. You're not really alone. You're with the world. Every hello, every thank you, every table for one is a connection, a piece of courage spoken out loud. As I look around, I see people enjoying their meals, hear laughter, clinking glasses, and I feel proud. I'm not just eating dinner, I'm living in English. Next, it's time for the real challenge, the menu. Because if you've ever looked at a menu in another language, you know it's not just food. It's a puzzle with sauce on top. The host leaves, and I'm sitting alone at my small table by the window, holding the menu like it's a mystery novel. I open it slowly, and wow, there are so many words, and some of them look nothing like what I expected. Appetizers, starters, mains, sides. Okay, I know some of those. Then I see grilled aubergine, balsamic glaze, sautéed mushrooms, and something called seasonal greens. Seasonal greens. What season are we talking about? I smiled to myself. This is what learning English in the real world feels like. A mix of curiosity, confusion, and fun. When you travel, the menu becomes your little English classroom. You don't just read words, you discover new meanings, new flavors, and sometimes new mistakes. If you ever sit in a restaurant like this, here's a trick I use. Don't panic. You don't need to understand everything. Just focus on keywords: chicken, beef, rice, pasta, soup, salad. Those are your safe friends. And if something looks interesting but confusing, you can always ask, what's in this dish? Or, is it spicy? People are usually kind, and you'll probably learn a new word or two along the way. I remember once in Italy, I saw the word carbonara and thought it was some kind of bread. Let's just say I was very surprised when pasta showed up. Deliciously surprised, but still surprised. Reading a menu in English isn't about being perfect. It's about being curious, about food, about people, about the language itself. Every word is like an ingredient. You mix them together and build your confidence bite by bite. I finally close the menu, take a deep breath, and decide what to order. Not because I'm sure, but because I'm brave enough to try. And that's what English is all about. Not knowing everything, but daring to speak anyway. The waiter is walking toward me now, smiling. It's time for me to open my mouth, not just my menu. The waiter walks toward me with that confident smile people who carry plates for a living always have. He stops by my table and says, "Are you ready to order?" And for a second, my brain goes completely blank. It's that moment every English learner knows when your mouth says, and your mind says, "Where did all my words go?" I take a sip of water, smile, and remind myself, keep it simple. So I say, "Yes, I'll have the grilled chicken, please." 5 words, and the world keeps turning. The waiter writes it down and nods politely. "That comes with salad or fries. Which would you like?" I answer quickly this time, "Salad, please." And there it is, a full English conversation. Small, but real. That's the magic of using English in real life. You don't need long, fancy sentences. You just need rhythm, politeness, and a smile. If you want to sound a bit more natural, you can say, "Could I get the pasta?" Or, "I'd like," for example, "Could I get the pasta and a lemonade, please?" That's exactly what most native speakers say. And that "please" at the end, it's like seasoning. It makes everything sound better. Sometimes the waiter might ask, "Would you like anything to drink?" You can say, "Just water, thanks." Or, "A glass of white wine, please." If they ask still or sparkling, it means flat water or water with bubbles. I learned that after accidentally ordering sparkling water and getting an unexpected fizz explosion. As the waiter leaves, I feel proud. I didn't just survive the conversation, I owned it. No script, no translation, no fear. Just me, a menu, and a little English courage. And as I look around the restaurant, I realize every order is a tiny story. Every word is a small victory. And tonight, my story tastes like grilled chicken and confidence. Next, let's talk about that in-between moment. The drinks, the small talk, and how to sound natural even when you're sitting alone at your table. The waiter comes back with a warm smile. "Would you like something to drink?" This time, I'm ready. I smile and say, "Yes, just water, please." Then he asks, "Still or sparkling?" I laugh a little. Now I know this one. "Still, please." It's funny how small conversations like that can make you feel so confident. You're not in a classroom, not repeating after anyone, you're just talking. And that's where real learning happens. While waiting for my food, I look around. There's a couple sharing a plate of pasta, a family laughing over pizza, and an older man reading the newspaper with a cup of coffee. It feels nice, calm. The kind of moment where you realize that being alone doesn't mean being lonely. The waiter passes by again and asks, "How's everything so far?" I smile. "Perfect, thank you." Simple, warm, natural. If you ever feel shy speaking English in these moments, remember this. You don't need to talk a lot to sound friendly. Sometimes one word said with the right tone says enough. a smile can do half the job for you. And if you do want to make small talk, start small. You can ask, "Is it always this busy?" Or, "The food smells amazing here." People love it when travelers take interest. It feels genuine. Once in a little cafe in Lisbon, I told the waiter, "The coffee here is so good." He grinned and said, "Of course, it's Portuguese." And just like that, we chatted for 10 minutes about coffee beans and travel, all in English. Small talk isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's the way you connect, even if it's just for a few minutes. And honestly, that's what language is meant for. Not tests, not textbooks, but tiny, beautiful moments like this. As the waiter heads off again, I take another sip of my water and smile to myself. It's amazing how something as simple as a drink can turn into a little English victory. Next up, things don't always go perfectly. Sometimes your food comes out wrong, cold, or missing something. So, how do you handle that politely? So, everything was going perfectly until it wasn't. The waiter brings my food, places it in front of me, and says, "Enjoy your meal." It looks amazing. I smile, take a photo like a good tourist, then take my first bite. And immediately, I realize something's not right. It's cold. Like, really cold. For a second, I freeze too. My brain starts shouting, should I say something? Or should I just eat it and smile? But then I remember this is part of the experience. Using English isn't just about good moments. It's also about handling small problems politely. So I catch the waiter's attention and say softly, "Excuse me." He turns, smiles. "Yes." I keep my tone kind and calm. "I think this is a little cold. Could you please warm it up?" Simple, clear, respectful. The waiter nods quickly. "Of course. I'm so sorry. I'll fix that for you." He takes the plate, and I relax. See? No drama, no embarrassment, just communication that works. Sometimes the problem isn't the temperature. Maybe they brought the wrong dish. You can say, "Sorry, I think this isn't what I ordered." Or if something's missing, try, "Could I please have the sauce?" Or, "I didn't get my drink yet." Always start with "sorry" or "could I." It makes your English sound gentle and polite. And don't forget to smile. Smiles are like magic keys in any language. 10 minutes later, the waiter returns with my plate. Warm, perfect, delicious. He says, "Here you go. I hope it's better now." And I say, "Yes, thank you so much." When you travel, you'll notice something. People don't remember if your grammar was perfect. They remember your tone, your kindness, your confidence. That's what real English is. Not just words, but warmth. I take another bite, and this time it's perfect. Crisis averted. Lesson learned. And as I enjoy my meal, I can't help but smile. Not just because it's warm, but because I handled it in English. Next, it's time to pay the bill, a part that can feel tricky, but actually it's easier than you think. The meal is done, the plate is empty, and my stomach is happy. I lean back, take a sip of water, and smile to myself. This is my favorite part. The quiet moment after a good meal when you feel calm, full, and proud. But then comes the next challenge, paying the bill. I look around.
The waiter is walking by, so I smile and say, "Excuse me, could I get the check, please?" That one sentence, short, polite, and useful, works everywhere in the world. Some places say the bill, some say the check, but both mean the same thing. The waiter nods. "Of course. One moment, please." He walks away, and I feel that little flutter in my chest. The moment when you hope your brain didn't make any grammar mistakes. But don't worry, no one cares about that. What they remember is how kind you sound. When he returns, he places a small tray on the table. "Here you go," he says. I look at the receipt, smile, and say, "Thank you." Now, depending on the country, you might need to leave a tip. If you're not sure, you can ask, "Is service included?" If the waiter says yes, it means the tip is already part of the total. If not, you can leave 10 to 15% or just round it up with a smile. And if you're paying by card, the waiter might ask, "Would you like to add a tip?" You can simply say, "Yes, 10% please." Sometimes, when you're traveling with friends, you'll hear another phrase, "Would you like to split the bill?" That means sharing the total. You can answer, "Yes, let's split it," or "No, I'll get this one." Either way, keep your tone light. It's all part of the dance of travel. When everything's done, I stand up and say, "Thank you. Everything was wonderful." And the waiter smiles and says, "Have a great evening." Walking out of the restaurant, I feel that familiar warmth again, not just from the food, but from the conversation, the connection, the courage. It's funny, I came here hungry for dinner, but I'm leaving full of English too. Next time, we'll talk about dessert, little compliments, and how to end the night with sweetness in your words and in your heart. Just when I think I'm finished, the waiter walks by and smiles. "Would you like to see the dessert menu?" I hesitate for 1 second, then laugh. "Yes, please. Why not?" Because honestly, there's always room for dessert, especially when you're traveling. He hands me the menu and I start reading. Chocolate lava cake, apple pie, cheesecake, ice cream, creme brulee. I whispered to myself, "This is dangerous. How am I supposed to choose?" When the waiter comes back, I point to one and say, "I'll have the cheesecake, please." And then, just to practice, I add, "It looks delicious." He grins. "Great choice." That little exchange, it's small, but it feels nice. When you travel alone, every friendly smile, every kind word becomes part of your story. And honestly, learning English through those small moments is so much more fun than studying grammar books. A few minutes later, my cheesecake arrives, perfect and beautiful. I take the first bite, close my eyes, and smile. Sweet, creamy, soft, and somehow it tastes like confidence. While I eat, I think about how far I've come, not just to another country, but as a person who once felt too shy to order coffee in English. Now here I am, having dinner by myself, talking to people, laughing, using English naturally. It's not perfect, but it's real, and that's enough. When I finish, I call the waiter over one last time. "Thank you," I say sincerely. "Everything was wonderful." He smiles warmly. "I'm glad you enjoyed it. Have a great night." As I step outside, the cool night air greets me. The city lights shimmer, people pass by, and my heart feels light, not just from the meal, but from the little victories that built this moment. Speaking English isn't about being brave all the time. It's about saying small things that open big doors. Next time, I'll share how these everyday moments, like dinner alone,
can change the way you live in English forever. The night air feels cool against my face as I walk away from the restaurant. The city is still alive. Cars passing by, laughter from a distance, the soft glow of streetlights. And inside me, there's this quiet warmth that has nothing to do with food. It's pride. Not the loud kind, but the soft, personal one. The kind that whispers, "You did it." Because tonight wasn't just dinner. It was a conversation. A few short sentences. "Table for one, please. Could I get the chicken?" "Thank you. It was wonderful." Simple words, but they built something powerful. They built connection. That's what I love about English. It doesn't just teach you how to speak, it teaches you how to live. Every small moment, ordering food, asking a question, saying thank you, it's a step toward freedom. The freedom to explore, to connect, to belong anywhere in the world. I remember when I was afraid to speak, worried about mistakes or strange looks. But I've learned that no one cares about perfection. People care about honesty, about the smile behind your words. And that's something we all have, no matter what level of English we're at. So tonight, as I walk back to my hotel, I think of you, the listener, the learner, the traveler in progress. If you've made it this far, you're already living your English. You're not studying words anymore. You're using them to live, laugh, and connect. And if this story made you smile or made you feel braver about speaking English, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, tell me about your first meal abroad or your favorite travel memory. And don't forget to follow English Zone. It helps more people find these stories, and it means the world to me. Thank you for being here, for growing with me, and for choosing courage over comfort. Until next time, keep smiling, keep speaking, and keep living your English. One meal, one word, one moment at a time.